Hey all, it's Wilson Maniac here, and you know what? I'm so excited for my favorite game to get ported to the PS2! I'm betting everything on it!
Hey, quick news. This game is no longer coming out on the PS2. Let's just hope you're not betting everything on it.
Damn it.
A video game port is where a game is ported from one system to another. For instance, Doom 2016 was ported from PS4 and Xbox One to Nintendo Switch 1 year after it came out on everything else. And 3 years later, it was ported onto Stadia. You know, when everyone stopped giving a shit.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy it's on Stadia, and it's good for all the Stadia users. You know, all 2 of them. And especially it doesn't matter because, you know, Stadia did the whole this. But not every video game port comes out. They get cancelled. As much as I'm making fun of Doom on Google Stadia, at least it can say, oh wow, I fucking exist.
1 point for Stadia users. Now before we talk about cancelled ports, first I feel like we should talk about why port something in the first place. Porting is something more for modern games. For retro games, they can just sell an emulator. And here's $20 from a fucking idiot.
No, here, take it. You clearly deserve it more for all the work you put in, for selling me a ROM file for $60 that I could easily download in 2 minutes off of Google.
In some cases, porting is the only way to put out a game on some consoles, because different hardware means different requirements. I mean, a Nintendo Switch can't emulate a PS4, when the PS4 can't even play PS4 games or literally do anything without it sounding like an aeroplane taking off.
Wait, what's that noise?
Oh, what the f***? But as I said, not every port comes out. Why? I don't know, maybe they've got to hit the release port button.
So anyway, I wanted to talk about some cancelled ports. Why? Well, it was either that or stare at the wall for a couple of minutes. So my options were pretty limited.
GoldenEye 007 on Virtual Boy.
Great, so I can play this game and be blind?
GoldenEye 007 on the Virtual Boy was a port of GoldenEye from the Nintendo 64, but this one was more like a racing game. It was cancelled because the Virtual Boy did the whole Virtual Boy thing. Even if this port did come out though, I feel like it would only appeal to people who really want to play GoldenEye, but they really don't want to see what it looks like. The Virtual Boy has had many cancelled ports. In fact, Nintendo in general has had many cancelled ports, especially with the Virtual Boy, GameCube, Wii and Nintendo Switch. Bubsy 3D on Sega Saturn. This port being cancelled probably only upset like, what, 2 people? Bubsy 3D on Sega Saturn was cancelled because the initial PS1 release was so negatively reviewed by critics that the Saturn port was cancelled, so Bubsy 3D was a PS1 exclusive. I feel so bad for you. And for Saturn owners, I'm sure only about 75% of the people who bought the console were upset. Which was 2 people, because only 3 people actually bought the Sega Saturn.
Yeah, I only bought this console to take it for a walk because my dog died.
Time Killers on Super Nintendo. Time Killers is a 1992 arcade game designed by Incredible Technologies for Strata. Because it was a Mortal Kombat ripoff, it reviewed horribly. It was ported to the Sega Mega Drive and Sega Genesis in 1996 by Malibu, and an SNES version was planned but was cancelled. It was cancelled because the Sega Mega Drive version and Sega Genesis version reviewed worse than the arcade versions, as well as Malibu doing the whole not existing anymore in 1994, when the parent company was acquired by Marvel Comics. But if that's the case, then how the f*** does this exist? Out of all franchises I can find to get the most cancelled ports, it has to go to Sonic. 8 cancelled ports, and that's just what we know of. Sonic Free Ride is on the Wii, Sonic Generations on the Wii, Sonic 06 on the Wii and PC.
Not Sonic 06 on Wii and PC.
Sonic 3 and Knuckles on mobile, Sonic Unleashed on PC, PSP and DS.
Really?
You put Sonic Unleashed on Java phone, but not the PSP? I mean, to be fair, what person would want Sonic Unleashed on the PSP? What sane person would want Sonic Unleashed on the PSP? Sonic 3 and Knuckles port being cancelled was because of licensing issues with the music. Now Sonic 3 and Knuckles is kind of known for being in constant licensing issues with the music, and Christian Whitehead, the guy who made this cancelled port, only released a video basically just saying he could and if Sega wanted to make it, but Sega said no, and Christian Whitehead went on to make probably the best Sonic game ever.
What a happy accident.
Now to be fair, Sonic 3 and Knuckles mobile port probably went into working on Sonic Origins, which was Sega remastering Sonic 1, 2, 3 and CD. And that's it, for $40 with DLC at launch.
Here, take the fucking money!
Sonic Unleashed on DS's plot would have been the same, but with several differences.
So is it still the same plot or not? This makes about as much sense as scraping a toothpick on a brownie, because seriously, who does that?
Sonic Unleashed on the DS was cancelled because the graphics didn't fit the DS. The programmer thought it would receive negative reviews because it had differences to the other versions, and Sega ordered Sonic Unleashed to be a console-only game, which they absolutely did. These reasons are pretty much the same for the PSP and PC versions, however the PC version was a bit different. The Windows version took a long time. When the release date arrived, this port would continue to develop, so Microsoft decided to just not make it anymore. Dying Light on PS3 and Xbox 360, this was cancelled because the respective consoles were near the end of their lifespan, and the hardware was too outdated and it just couldn't run the game well. Postal 3.
Oh, for fuck's sake. This game blows.
This game is so bad, it should have been cancelled anyway. Now one thing a lot of people don't actually know about Postal 3 is there was actually a planned Xbox 360 and PS3 port, however not much is actually known about them or why they were cancelled. All we have of them is some early gameplay footage of the Xbox 360 version. However, I think I know why they were cancelled. Basically, the 2008 financial crisis made a lot of video games get delayed or just cancelled, and this especially hit Russia, where the development team and publisher Akela was. I might go more into this in the future, but since this crisis made the game quality go down, I don't think it's a far stretch to say that this has something to do with the cancelled ports.
So that's just some cancelled ports. Now if you excuse me, I'm gonna do more betting. I bet it on the f***ing house.